Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central with another evening's production, evening live stream. Let's see what we have for you tonight. Proverb of the day is no, that's yesterday's. Here it goes. Let's skip the page. Okay. Even though the old man is strong, even though the old man is strong and hardy, he will not live forever. Even though the old man is strong and hardy, he will not live forever. And that is an Ashanti proverb. Even though the old man is strong and hardy, he will not live forever. Okay. And moving on with our poem for the evening. We have missed the poems for the last few evenings, but we got one tonight out of the African American Book of Values. And let's see which one we have tonight. This one is called Negritude. Now, why do they call it Negritude? That's a good question. I wish I could answer. I am not sure. But for some reason, that was a very popular thing back in the day. Now, this poem here is by a man, James A. Emanuel, who was born in the year 1921. I'm not sure when the poem was written, but he was born in the year 1921, and he wanted to redefine the term black. Sounds like a very familiar theme. Black is the first nail I ever stepped on. Black, the hand that dried my tears. Black is the first old man I ever noticed. Black, the burden of his years. Black is waiting in the darkness. Black, the ground where hoods have lain. Black is the sorrow misted story. Black, the brotherhood of pain. Black is a quiet iron door. Black, the path that leads behind. Black is a detour through the years. Black, the diary of the mind. Black is Gabriel Prosser's knuckles. Black, Sojourner's naked breast. Black is a schoolgirl's breathless mother. Black, her child who led the rest. Black is the purring of a motor. Black, the foot when the light goes green. Black is last year's dusty paper. Black, the headlines yet unseen. Black is a burden bravely chanted. Black cross of sweat for a nation's rise. Black is a boy who knows his heroes. Black, the way a hero dies. Okay. Now think about that. All right. Think about that. Very interesting poem. Black. And read the redefinition of the word. Yeah, I may have to write a poem like that myself. Now, tonight, we're moving into a new series because this one is going to take a little while. This is going to be the story, The Golden Legacy. Matthew Henson's Golden Legacy. Matthew Henson's Golden Legacy. And this is part one. I'm hoping this will be some fun. This one, we read the short version of Matthew Henson's life, and I don't know where that version came from because it's very different than the version that I know that came from his autobiography. So I'm not sure who wrote the version I read previously, but let's see what this version here has to say about Matthew Henson, first man to reach the North Pole. Now, see, that's what I heard, and I heard it from no less than Matthew Henson himself. There seemed to be some discrepancy about it because sometimes these explorers like to pretend as though they went all by themselves when they actually had a whole team of people that went with them, with which they would never have made it there at all if they tried to go by themselves. So this is the story of Matthew Henson, first man to reach the North Pole. Come on in, child. Don't just stand there in the cold. Poor thing. He's so thin. In Washington, a kind lady takes Matt in and asks for him because he was born in Charles County, Maryland on August 8, 18 56. Oh, shucks. I'm going to have to get out my glasses. Let me get them out. I can see. Thought I could see, but I can't see as well as I need to see. Ah, there we go. That's much better. I can see you. I can see these little letters too. August 8th, 1866. 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Matthew Henson was orphaned and ran away from an unkind stepmother. He walked in the cold of winter without shoes to Washington, D.C. Wow, that's a walk. And when he gets there, the woman takes him in. That's right, child. Eat up. There's plenty more. Can you wash dishes, Matt? Yes, ma'am. And cut wood and carry water too. Then you have a job. During the months Matt worked in Miss Janie's lunchroom, he loved to hear the stories of high adventure told by one of the customers who had been a sailor. And he thinks to himself, that's the life for me. And the small waves were at least 30 feet high. Man, that sure is exciting. Aunt Janie, I want to be a sailor. Well, Matt, it won't be easy, but I wish you the best. So Matt set out to walk from Washington to Baltimore. So he went now from Washington, D.C. back to Maryland, but this time he went to Baltimore, where he heard there were big ships. Wow, that sure is a nice ship. I'm Captain Childs of the good ship Katie Hines. So you want to go to sea, do you, lad? Yes, sir, I surely do. Won't your mother and father worry about you? No, sir, my parents are dead. He surely is a brave and determined young lad, that's for sure. Mr. Tracy, meet my new cabin boy, Matthew Alexander Henson. Oh, so we have another Alexander. This is the third Alexander because we had Alexander Dumas, Alexander Pushkin. No, actually the fourth because that's the fifth. Because we had three Alexander Dumas, one Alexander Pushkin, and now we have an Alexander Henson, Matthew Alexander Henson. On the Katie Hines, Matt climbed the rigging, learning every sailor's knot and mastered the carpenter's tools and peeled potatoes. But each night, the kindly captain gave Matt lessons. Soon Matt learned to read and write. For the next 5 years, Matthew Henson sailed on the Katie Hines, becoming an able-bodied seaman. He visited exciting foreign ports, Hong Kong, Russia, Africa, West Indies, Spain, and Japan. When the captain died in 1883, Matt left the Katie Hines. On shore, Matt worked at some of the only jobs open to black men at that time: bellhop, stevedore, watchman. Matt returned to Washington and got a job as a stock clerk at Steinmetz's Sons, Hatters and Furriers. One day, Matt bringing a size 7 3/2. And what? That don't even make sense. Okay, maybe a 7 3/8. Okay, 7 3/8. Sun helmet. They're on the shelf above the Panamas. Yes, sir. Here's the boy I was telling you about, Lieutenant. My name is Perry. I need a valet to go with me to Central America. Well, do you want the job? I sure don't want to be anybody's valet is what he starts thinking. But he says, what are you going to do in Central America? Perry explained he had to do a survey for a proposed canal to join the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. As a seaman, Matthew Henson could appreciate its importance, and the adventurous blood in him led him to say, yeah, I'll take the job. Why not? These words spoken in 1887 began the 23-year association of Perry and Henson. For the next year, Matthew Henson helped Perry hack through the jungles of Nicaragua, you know, with his panga panga. Huh? This is a panga panga over here. It's a panga panga right here. This is what we're talking about right here. Panga panga. You see that? Otherwise called a machete, right? And use that to hack through the woods. When you're trying to get through some heavy brush, you want to have a tool like that. Right tool for the right job makes a difference. After returning to the States in 1888, Henson got a job in Perry's office at the Navy Yard in Philadelphia. Matt, I propose to explore the north of Greenland. No one's ever done that before. Will you come with me? Me, sir? What will I do there? I'm not a scientist. You may not be a scientist, but you've proven yourself to be strong, intelligent, and resourceful. I need a good man like you. A little later, a Lieutenant Skaptek stops by. Say, Henson, I hear you going to Greenland. You're a Negro. That cold climate will kill you. Oh, I don't know about that, Lieutenant. Henson, I'll bet you $100 you don't come back with all your fingers and toes. You got yourself a bet, sir. Now let's see how that works out. The Perry party reached Greenland and soon found itself amidst the giant iceberg, some towering 20 stories high above the kite. Perry was on deck as the kite was ramming her way through the ice when a large iceberg struck the rudder, jamming the wheel, causing the iron tiller to strike Perry, breaking his leg. Matt went to work and made a box-like cast to hold the broken leg. There, that ought to do it. Thanks, Matt. Matthew Henson built a house for the group on Greenland, almost single-handedly, as he was the only one with the necessary skills. Then he built sleds designed to carry 800 pounds, drilling holes in the oak runners and tying them with walrus hide. Soon Perry, Henson, and the group were joined by a family of Inuit, otherwise known as Eskimos. When the Eskimos saw Henson, they thought that Matt was an Eskimo because of his brown skin. Huh. Ain't that something? So they say Inuit, Inuit. And Inuit is the name that the Eskimos call themselves. Mia Paluk. They say, hey, man, you talk like us, man. Why you talk all funny? Huh? You know you're from down the way. So that was the name they gave him, Mia Paluk. Matt and the Eskimos became fast friends. Henson learned to speak Eskimo fluently and acquired the many skills needed to survive in the icy north. Hut, hut, hut. And he cracks that whip over those dogs. You know, they got the husky dogs to pull those sledges. Okay, that's what they call that sled that they ride on. They call that a sledge, like Sister Sledge. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Sister Sledge, but we got a singer, famous singer called Sister Sledge. Matt learned to build igloos and hunt the mighty walrus for food. Perry's leg healed that winter, and in the spring, he crossed the northern rim of Greenland, proving it was indeed an island. With this victory, the Perry party returned to New York. Perry vowed to return and reach the North Pole. Back in the States, Perry gave lectures on their Arctic experiences to raise money for further explorations. Matthew Henson electrified audiences by coming on stage in furs, complete with his sled and Eskimo dogs. Hook, hook. Ladies and gentlemen, my assistant, Matthew Henson. And then here he comes on his sledge with the dogs. Well, you look at Henson, he handles those dogs like an Eskimo, as if they'd ever seen one to know. Did you hear it? He called Henson his assistant. Yes, but the newspapers called Henson only a servant. After a performance, say, that's Lieutenant Skaptek over there. I think I'll show him I've got all my fingers and toes. Matt, I never thought you had a chance to win this, but after hearing what you went through, I'd say you sure earned it. Returning to the north, the Perry party faced terrible Arctic storms, which sent some of the sleds crashing down glaciers. Most of the men were snow-blinded and crippled with frozen hands and feet. The group had to turn back to camp. Perry was very despondent. Matt, I don't know how we can go on. The men are in bad shape. Well, Lieutenant, I'm willing to stay for another winter and try again. When the supply ship Falcon came in August, every man left except Perry, Lee, and Henson. Once, as Perry, Henson, and the Eskimo Analika were traveling across a sea of snow, the surface suddenly gave way beneath Henson's feet. Henson had fallen into a deep crevasse in the snow. A small outcropping of ice in the pit halted his fall. Any wrong move would plunge him into an icy grave forever. Henson remained calm and planned how to get out. He dug his hands and feet into the sides of the crevasse, slowly inching his way to the small patch of light that meant life. Perry and Analika arrived just as he was emerging. My God, I'm glad to see you. I thought you were a goner for sure. We better stick closer together. What would I do next spring if I lost you? Yeah, what would he do? So we're going to stop. We'll start up again on this page right here with a picture of the Aurora Borealis. That's not something that's really boring. That's a feature of the Earth. When you're up in the north, you can see these colored lights like a rainbow. It's kind of like a rainbow, but there's no rain. Okay, kind of like a rainbow without rain. So we'll pick up there tomorrow with part 2 of Matthew Henson's Golden Legacy. Now, in the meanwhile, I'd like y'all to leave with a great big smile. But right now, it's time for you to go ahead and sleep for a while. So go ahead and put your little head down on your little pillow, on your little bed. Sleep tight, sleep right. Don't let them bed bugs bite. Adults, don't forget to hit that button. Hit that subscribe button, or at least give us a thumbs up. And meanwhile, if you're looking at us on Facebook, go ahead and give us a like and then give us a share. Let everybody know that you really do care. Peace out. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9. We'll be black tomorrow at noon. See you then.